Hello everyone. So my name is Pavan Arora. This time I'm covering Xbar R chart. You can watch my different videos for Xbar individual chart and Xbar S chart or IMR chart. So today we'll talk about Xbar R chart. So Xbar R chart means what is the meaning of Xbar and range chart. We got as Xbar R chart as well. When to draw Xbar R chart, and finally the interpretation of Xbar R chart. Not only that, today I will also cover how you can draw Xbar R chart using Excel file. Okay, not only in the Minitab. So let's start then. So the first thing is when to use Xbar R chart. So mostly the Xbar R chart used when you have the subgroup size between 2 to 8. So please note, if you have more than 8 subgroup size, then you will use Xbar S chart. If you have a subgroup size of 1, or you will have only the individual data point, then you will use IMR chart. So this is the chart between individual chart and X bar S chart. So that's called X bar and range chart, widely used to examine the stability of the process in many industries. So let's try to understand with an example. Assume there is a automobile assembly plant, okay, which are making some shafts, and we have collected the data of shaft length. In the quality department, they are measuring the shaft, so they have collected the data for the shaft length. So every day they are collecting, or every shift they are collecting the 5 shaft. Okay, they are collecting the data of 5 shafts, and for the each shift they are collecting 5 data points. Okay, so they are working in 4 shift, and they have collected the data for 5 days. So indirect way, if you see, they are collecting 5 data points or 5 shaft data. So that would be the subgroup size. So I've collected 5 shafts, I'm measuring the length. I'm taking the 5 data points every shifts. So it means I'm working in 4 shifts, so I'm taking 20 data point a day, and then I'm taking this data for the 5 days. So it means I will be having 100 data points. So what they are asking is, so 5 samples with comprise of each subgroup were selected within a short period of time. So every time indirectly I'm taking 5 samples to minimize the variation from one shaft to the next shaft. So now they want to understand in the quality department whether the length of this particular shaft is stable or not. So now you can understand the data which I'm collecting is of 5 5 5. So I'm having 5 subgroup size, which is between 2 to 8. So definitely I'm going to use the X bar R chart. You also need to understand if your data is the variable data or it's attribute data. You can see on the left hand side the data points in the decimal form, so it means it's a variable or continuous data. So we have to use X bar R chart. Okay, now let me explain you first how you create the Xbar R chart in Excel, and then in simple way we will see how we can create it in the Minitab. Okay, so let's go to the Excel file. Now this is the Excel file which I'm having, and you can see this is the length which I was talking about in the column number A, right? So total how many data points we have? If you go down, we have 100 data point, which you can see here on the bottom. So, and every time I'm collecting how many? 5 samples. So my subgroup size is 5, right? So in this case, I have already created or pasted the graph X bar R chart through Minitab on the left, on the right hand side. So on the bottom, this is called the range chart. On this, you can see the X bar chart. So the combination, it's called X bar R chart. Okay, and I will also talk about what and how you can generate the control limits using this formula of shorts. So this is also called short formula for X bar chart. Now let's talk about this first. So you have column number A with all the data points. So what I did is, first I took the average of all the data points that I have from here to here. So average, if you see on the bottom, it's coming 600.072, right? So I took the average of this, which is coming 600.072. So there are two ways to get it. First way is you can take the average of all the data points from here to here. The second way is I will take the average of every 5 subgroup, okay, which will become X bar, and then I take the average of these, which will be 600.072, which is nothing but your X double bar, or nothing but you can see in your X bar chart, right? So this is your X double bar value, which is the grand average or grand mean of entire data point. Now let's talk about these points which you can see here. So from where these points are coming, as I mentioned, this is your X bar chart. So these points are coming as the average of every 5 subgroup. So this is the average of every 5 subgroup which I have taken here, correct? Now there are two ways to do it. In Excel, let me go to the calculation sheet. I calculate it for you. So this is a very big formula you can see here. I put just to take the average because there are two ways. I can simply write average from 1 to 5, and then I did it. So it is showing me 600.36 and both are same, right? But if I just copy and paste like this, it will not be the right way, because if I copy and paste, it will not take every 5 interval, means every 5 data point average. I mean in the first case this is first 5 sample average. What I want in the second case, I want the next 5 sample from 6 to 10, because every shift I am taking 5 samples. So that's why I need to use the index formula which you can see here to take the average. I'll not go and explain you okay how you can calculate in the average. You can take the Excel classes, but my intention or my motto is to tell you, you have to take the sample, you have to take the average for every 5 samples. So from here to here you can see total 20 data points now I have, or 20 averages I have. It means the average of each shift. And similarly you can see here, this is the range is nothing but the maximum value and the minimum value on that particular shift. So for example, these are the 5 sample I have taken, okay, on the first day or the first shift. So what I will do is I will try to find out the max value of this, right, the max of these 5 samples and the minimum of these 5 samples, which is nothing but the minimum of these 5 samples, right? And I will take the difference of this two, the positive difference I mean, okay, or the absolute value. So you can see 3.6 here. So this is the value. So this is called your range value. So what I did, I copy this and pasted here. You can see this is the column for the average and this is the column for the R bar, okay, or this is called range. So the R bar is here 2.72. Now let's talk about this chart first. So you can see each data point here is coming from your this values 600.36, 599.76 and so on so forth. Now let's talk about the upper and lower control limit for X bar chart. So the formula that is coming from upper and lower control limit is very interesting, because it's not only coming from your X bar, it's also coming from your range or R bar. So this is the formula you can see for the upper control limit X double bar, which is your grand mean. It's given here 600.072 plus A2. A2 is the Short constant, depend upon the subgroup size, which you can take it from this table. So A2 is here, and you can go how, what is the subgroup size for us is 5. So 0.577 is your A2, and plus R bar is nothing but your range average or average of your range, which is here 2.72. From where this 2.72 is coming is nothing but the range that we have calculated, that I shown you how to calculate, and you just take the average of this entire range, which is here 2.72. you can see here, right? So this value now you can see here. So B22, let me press F2 for this. B22 is here plus 0.577, which is your Short constant, multiplied by with your range average, okay. So this is 600.64 something. So you can see here, this is your upper control limit, which is coming from the Minitab as well, 601.64. Now coming to the LCL, or the lower control limit of X bar chart, the formula is X double bar minus A3. Now A3, which we already calculated from oh okay, this should be A2. This is the wrong formula, please correct it. This should be A2 R bar, okay. A2 is remaining same, 0.577. So you can see here. So if you see X double bar minus 0.577 into 2.7, so this is the formula for LCL, or lower control limit, for X bar chart. R bar, we already calculated the R bar value 2.72, and now here this is the formula for the control limits for range chart. So upper control limit is nothing but d4 multiplied by r bar. So what is d4? You can get it from this formula or this table. So 2.144 for subgroup size 5, right? So here also you can see 2.144 multiplied by E22. E22 is nothing but your range average or R bar. So 5.75. So you can see here 5.75 something, which is your upper control limit for R bar. Lower control limit is 0 because it is showing as D3. So now D3, if you can see here, the D3 value for 5 subgroup is 0. So when you multiply 0 with R bar, you will get 0. And here also you can see the LCL value as 0. So this is how you can draw your upper and lower control limit. You can draw all the points using the Excel file, right? Now I'll tell you how you can use Minitab and how you can interpret after that. Okay, let's go to the Minitab. First of all, you have to copy this, only this column number A, okay, and you have to paste into the Minitab. Suppose you have pasted in the Minitab, just go to stat, go to control charts, go to variable chart for subgroup variable charts because our data is variable, and then you have to go to Xbar R chart. Click on this. So here all the observation in one column. You can see the first sentence, yes, select length. What is the subgroup size here? 5 I have. Now very interesting thing I'm going to tell you now. Just go to Xbar option, go to test, and you please select perform all test for special causes. You can watch my previous video which talks about what are the different tests we have. Okay, so these are the total 8 tests we have for control charts. And one more interesting thing, go to the storage here and select point plotted and the control limits values. And if you also want to know the mean, please select this. By storage means all these information will store in your worksheet here. Okay, we'll see now how it is. Click OK and click OK. When you click OK, you will get the graph. Let me just minimize the graph for 2 minutes, and let me increase the size of this window first. So you can see in this window you have the grand mean here, which I shown you in the Excel file. This is the data which is coming from your X bar or X bar chart. These are nothing but the average of each subgroup, average of 5 sample. And I can copy this, right? Instead of going in the Excel file using this big formula, I can just take and I can copy this value and I can paste it somewhere in the Minitab. You can see I can paste these values. Let's say I'm pasting here, right? So you can see 600.36, 599.76 and so on, right? So I can use Minitab. Within few seconds I can get these values as X bar, these values of the R bar in the sense, sorry, the range values, okay, and then these are the control limits. So 598.503, I'll show you in the graphs now. Open this graph. Sorry, let me open this way so that we can see both. So here you can see 598.503. You can see here this is the confidence interval for the lower, and this is the confidence interval, upper control limit for the X bar chart. 601.64, it's here, right? And now you can see these are the lower control limits for range chart, and these are the upper control limit for the range chart, 5.751. you can see here. Okay, so this is how you can understand or draw your data through Minitab within few seconds, or you can use the Excel which I showed you. So this is the first thing. Now let's try to understand and interpret this graph to understand whether data is stable or not. Okay, so this is what we done, and these are the values, and as I mentioned, this value should be A2 not A3. I will correct it. Please correct it in your tables as well. Now let's talk about this graph and let's interpret this. So while interpreting, you have to note 2 points, very important points, which I already shown you in the X bar S video, and now the same thing I am reiterating for X bar R chart. So whenever you are interpreting X bar R chart, the first thing you have to see is your range chart, because the range chart should be in control to correctly interpret your X bar chart. The reason is, if you see the control limits for X bar chart, is derived from your R bar, correct, if you see the formula. So that's why your R bar chart or the range chart should be in control, or R chart should be in control. If it is out of control, then there is no point to go and check your X bar chart, because there are chances that X bar chart will give you inaccurate value, because the control limits of your X bar chart go out, or maybe inaccurate, because your range chart is not stable or not in control, right? Because we are checking stability with the help of control chart, and if your range chart is not stable, so there are strong chances that your X bar chart may inaccurate, because the control limit of X bar chart is inaccurate, right? Now if you look at this graph, so I can see all the data points which are coming in the red areas or red points, these are out of specification. Now please understand, you will say these 2 point plus these 3 point are within the control limit. How come it is out of control or it's unstable? Because you remember we have selected all the 8 tests, so this is not passing the test number 6, this is also not passing test number 6, this is not passing test number 5, and this is not passing test number 1, and so on. So that's why these points are out of control. So by looking at the entire data, we can conclude that yes, the range chart is stable, so definitely we have to go with the X bar chart, and means the X bar chart is good, but the X bar chart is showing the values as out of control, so your data is not stable, means the length of the shaft that you have collected or you are checking is out of control, is not stable. That you can interpret from your X bar R chart. So I hope you like this video. If you have any other questions related to this, please write me in the comment box. I will come with a new video and I'll answer all your questions. Okay, thank you.